there you go.
Where you from?
You guys.
All over the globe.
Well, all over. I grew up in London.
Okay.
New York.
All right. I was sensing some sort of a Scandinavian.
I just got back from Denmark.
Okay.
And
that's what I was sensing. Yeah.
And
You still smell like Denmark.
whenever I'm in Denmark, and I grew up with a bunch of Scandinavian kids, people walk up to me and start speaking some sort of Scandinavian language, and I don't know what it is.
You don't speak Northern Norwegian?
Or any kind of Norwegian
No?
at all.
Okay.
I guess we've begun. Are we good to go? You got levels, and we're all good?
I love me some Denmark, by the way.
I think that the Copenhagen airport, if you're going to have a layover, which I recently did, is the best airport in the world to do that in.
Yeah, that's a new tactic. People making their airports inviting.
Right, yeah.
Because it gets people wanting to come there.
Yeah. No, there's like one place where I always go for a sandwich in the Copenhagen airport. But you've traveled around the world a bazillion times, so I don't think I have anything new to share with you about airports. But I'll ask, favorite place to have a layover?
Favorite airport? Hong Kong is not bad.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, pretty good airport. Singapore is pretty good as well.
Uh-huh.
But I'm not in love with airports.
Right.
In general.
Right.
If I could avoid them, I would.
Right.
I prefer a train station, a bus depot.
Do you travel by train at all? Like if you have a little bit,
If I had a choice, I would.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you ever able to get a sleeper car and just take in the scenery as you go?
It's been a minute since I had a sleeper car. But once upon a time, I traveled with my father from L.A. to Chicago by way of 70s Amtrak. And it was a sleeper accommodation, and it was joyful.
I could see it being joyful for sure. So honestly, real honor to talk to you because you've directly affected the trajectory of my life. Just because I'll never forget coming across this band called the Red Hot Chili Peppers when I was a kid, and I heard this song called "Fight Like a Brave," and I was like, "Oh, this rules." And the thing that I noticed that you guys did was you didn't sound like anyone else. And then as the years sort of wore by, you became the biggest band on the face of the planet. I noticed, my young mind kind of put together, these guys don't sound like anyone else, and they seem to be getting where they're going by just really being themselves and pursuing what it is they love.
Where did you come across that song?
Fight Like a Brave?
Yeah.
I grew up in London, and a classmate had it.
Classmate, okay.
He had a large collection of Red Hot Chili Peppers vinyl, and he was like, I don't loan any of this out. You can't borrow it, but you can sit here in my room and listen to it with me. In fact, you should. And so we did.
Well, you want me to respond to some of that?
All of it.
Yeah?
Yes.
I mean, it's an honor that we had any kind of impact on your trajectory. That's always a good feeling.
Yes.
To put a little air or lift or something under somebody's trajectory is a nice feeling.
Yes.
It happened to me a million times when I was a kid, and knowing that we can, pay that back is quite lovely.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really set out to try to sound like anybody, but we were certainly wildly influenced and inspired and uplifted by many, many other musicians and comics and other weird entertainers along the way. And it kind of just became this amalgam of our friendship and our love and our energy and our kind of street urchinness. And the world of funk and the world of rock and the world of jazz and the world of folk and the world of anything goes really turned out to be a great way to start off, because we weren't just trying to be a rock band. We weren't just trying to be a funk band. And so as time went on, any single idea was acceptable. It wasn't like, oh, that's just not quite hard enough. Like, I suppose if you're Metallica, you're a great band, but if someone brings in a sappy little something, they'll be like, no, that's not really who we are. But if we bring in a sappy little something, it's like, yeah, let's take it for a spin. So we left ourselves wide open from the start, and I think it served us well.
When I listen to the Red Hot Chili Peppers, or when I take it all in, it almost seems like you guys, in addition to being songwriters and great musicians that can really sing and really play, it's almost like you're servants of music. You're letting what you love flow through you. And I know that's kind of an out there concept, but am I right?
On a good day, it comes in all shapes and waves. There are those great moments where you avail yourself to the cosmos of love and energy and music and song, and it just kind of shows up at your doorstep, and you're like, thank you very much, I'm happy to serve. And there are other days when you're caught up in your madness and your ego and your fear and your insanity, and it's more of a struggle. But you put it all together and make what you can out of it. There is an element of, we're here to be of service wherever we go, but it's not the only element.
Right.
We're selfish pigs too.
Well, I don't know about selfish pigs, but you still appear to be having a lot of fun. Like a lot of fun. Like when I hear you talk about playing shows, it seems like that's just as exciting now to you as it was when the band started in 1983 and you guys were in school together.
It's a different kind of excitement, but definitely still there. Yeah.
How is it different now?
It's different. Like when you have less of a foundation or a history of playing thousands of shows. I remember before we ever made a record, I would get so excited about the impending show, whether it was tomorrow or 2 days from now, that I could not sleep.
Right.
And then if I did fall asleep, I would just dream about the show. And then I'd wake up and I'd like, did we play a show or did we not play a show? And now I'm a little more composed, but you want to be excited and you want butterflies and a little nervousness and adrenaline and a little uncertainty to kind of keep you on your toes. And yeah, I'm excited for tonight.
Yeah,
yes,
very
I am.
cool. That's awesome.
I don't know if tonight's the night on this interview, but I'm excited for tonight.
Tonight is the night on this interview. And I want to ask you, if you had to pick one record or one musical performance that you saw, or maybe you saw something on TV that made you go, this is it. Music is really, really important to me. This is what I'm going to be doing something.
I don't know if there's one. I don't know if there's one, but as a child, you're so impressionable and so unjaded that little things, even though it might not end up being your thing, but little tiny things can be profound.
Yeah.
You just so much more impressionable. And I saw David Bowie on the Ziggy Stardust tour.
Wow.
With my father. And it wasn't like I left there thinking, oh, I want to be like David Bowie, but I left there knowing that anything on earth was possible.
Right.
And you could be whoever you wanted to be, and you could invent these characters to perform through. And it just kind of was a little seed, a slow growing seed. Then I saw Iggy Pop, and he was so much more manic, but still had that, like, he's kind of being this character.
Right.
But far more explosive, and I kind of filed that away, like, okay, this is an option. And then I started seeing jazz and funk shows in the, 1981, 82, and I saw a band called Defunct play at the Whiskey A Go-Go on the old Sunset Strip there. And they created an energy and an ambiance that just made me feel like I could fly.
Wow.
And that's kind of, I was like, okay, I want to try to make someone feel like this. If I can get it together to create sound to make people feel like they can fly, then I'm on the right track. Thank God I had, Flea and Hillel and Jack Irons.
Yeah, that
couldn't do it by myself.
What you said that comics played a part in you doing what you do. Like you had to pick a comic. Who's your guy or girl?
Well, when I was little, it was Woody Allen and things like Sleeper. But the Three Stooges and the Marx Brothers really had an influence on us. Like, it was, we grew up in a time when that was on, syndicated reruns.
Yeah.
And Hillel and I we had a real affinity for the Three Stooges. The aesthetic, the pain and the suffering and the love, and they weaseled their way into our psychic presence.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It makes, never would have thought of it. Like looking at the Red Hot Chili Peppers, that makes total sense.
Yes, it does.
I can hear you all going, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and Hillel used to do this dance on stage with his guitar called the Shemp, which is kind of a back and forth shuffling that the Shemp used to do. So. Yeah.
That's so cool. So, like, when you get into a room now and you start to make music, you start to make Red Hot Chili Peppers music, are you ever sort of struck by the fact, you ever look across at Flea and go, we've been doing this for a while now. How did that even happen? Like, what do you think now when you get in a room to make music with this guy?
I'm not sure that it strikes me then, just because I'm kind of task at hand focused.
Sure.
And I want to like listen carefully or, get my words together to show them. But it does dawn on me. But it's kind of like he's my brother, and it's. I don't know if you look at your brother and go, "Geez, we've been brothers for 30 years."
Yeah.
It's just I'm so used to it. I
Right.
mean, it's nice to acknowledge and be grateful and kind of go, "Wow, we're lucky to have gotten along for so long."
Right.
Because that's most great bands. They seem to break up because they just can't hang with each other.
Right.
Like that seems to be the leading cause of death among great bands. Like Page and Plant or whatever, and so on down the line.
What do you think is the secret to you guys having gotten along for that amount of time?
I don't know, because we don't always get along.
Right.
The secret, I don't know, man. I don't know what the secret
Because
is.
honestly, like, if you could bottle that and apply it to literally any relationship, whether it was boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage, business relationship, that secret to being able to weather the storms yet still respect that what you've got going, like, that really is the secret.
Yeah, well, I like my job.
That's good.
And I recognize Flea as being a very integral part of my job.
Right.
So I'm pretty comfortable honoring that and keeping it alive and healthy. And if I have to swallow my pride or tolerate another man's absurdities, I'm fairly willing.
Right.
And he's pretty willing also.
Right.
Maybe not in the moment, but I think over time he's pretty open to having a look at himself and making the subtle adjustments that we all have to make as we go through life.
That's very grown up of the two of you.
Yeah. And luck.
Right.
And luck and just being gifted.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Emotionally intelligent, I suppose, is what it sounds like you guys are.
Sometimes, luck. A lot of luck.
Right. When you guys sort of get ready to go out on the road and you sort of like write your set list and you're going back to songs that are sort of like 20, 30 years old or however old, is that sort of a time machine for you? Are you transported back to who you were and what you were doing? Because I think for your audience, that is, there's a moment in time. Like I first heard Fight Like a Brave in my friend's bedroom, and I first heard Give It Away when I was on a class field trip to Italy, of all places. And when I hear Give It Away and Fight Like a Brave, I'm instantly back in my friend's bedroom or I'm in Empoli in Italy.
Yeah, well, we don't play that much stuff off of the first 3 records.
Right.
We play Me and My Friends, and every now and again it does occur to me what was happening in my life when that song was born. The players are all still alive and well. Fortunately, Bob Forrest was an influence on that song, the singer from Thelonious Monster.
Right.
He heard the music because the music came before the words. And he's like, that should be about you and your friends. And I was like, okay.
Right.
I'll handle it. Thanks. and I wrote that based on his comment.
Right.
So often I think of him when that song comes up. And he's spoken about in the verse. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, songs are time capsules, and it's nice to actually remember where they came from, or the day that they were born, or the process that led up to them. Yeah, Give It Away was a fun one because I showed up to rehearsal and Flea was just working that bass line without intention. He wasn't like, hey, this is a song. He was just like, whoa, I can do this with my bass, and he just kept playing it over and over. And then I stepped in, and he noticed the vocal being an interesting thing, and he was like, what I like that, keep doing what you're doing there.
Right.
I was like, whoa, I like what you're doing. And so fun memories.
Well, you have written the soundtrack to all of our lives, and it's been a tremendous honor to talk to you before you go play the soundtrack to all of our lives tonight. Thank you so much.
Pleasure